What's up guys, Debo here. Just going to be showing you guys some different Diablo 3 character videos here. I actually got a Witch Doctor here. I went ahead and took the liberty of to get every class pretty much to level 13 because I have no life and I love Diablo 3. But that's besides the point. The big key thing is, basically I leveled up every single class, like I said, to 13. Was able to craft some gear. Was able to get them pretty decked out, pretty as high as you can go for level 13. And as you guys can definitely, let me see if I can pull it up right here. Heroes. As you see, the gear set is pretty good, you know, mostly high level crafted gear. Didn't really mess around, try to get the best items for each individual class that I'm going to be going over here, just so you guys can check it out here. And I'm going to be talking about all the different skills that the classes have and what key early skills I was using to basically progress through the Act 1 scenario for Diablo 3. Now, whatever abilities that you guys choose to do might be a little bit different. But you know what? I'm just still going to showcase basically what's I've noticed seems to be really good for each individual class and what's really working for me. So again, we're beginning with the Witch Doctor. We're going to start the game on the Reign of the Black King. Basically, once you finish the whole early on scenario, usually at level 9, maybe 10, depending on how much you've checked out in the beginning of the Act 1 campaign. But I mean, if you pretty much speed rush through, you can get the Skeleton King by level 8. But like I said, if you perform everything you possibly can do, you usually get there right around, I don't know, say level 10. And then after you kill the Skeleton King, you're pretty much just going to be doing Skeleton King runs over and over until you get to level 13. And then you can go ahead and start crafting all the gear you find and stuff like that. If you do public games, I've realized that public games will get you to level 13 as quick as possible. And get you a lot of experience. Private games will actually net you getting more loot. I don't really know how that works. That's just what I've noticed. So if I'm trying to craft stuff for another class I'm getting ready to start up, or I'm just trying to craft items for my specific class, whatever, blah, 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 I find it is a lot easier just to do private games, do your own personal runs, and you'll actually end up getting a lot more items that way. But like I said, experience, you definitely want to be doing public. Alright, so we got the Witch Doctor here. I'm just going to go over here to the Nephilim Altar. I'm going to show you guys a couple skills that he has. The key ones I'm just going to go ahead and highlight. As you can see, in Diablo 3, you actually have a lot of variety of skills that you can choose, and you can switch them back and forth on the fly. The only requirement is that if you meet the level, the item level, or I'm sorry, the level of your character needs to match the skill that you need to use. So, like for instance, since the character level can only go to 13 on Diablo 3 beta, you won't be able to use Locust Swarm, Acid Cloud, any of the higher tier abilities that look pretty good. But I mean, you can go up to skills that of course allow you level 13. So at level 13, you're allowed at 4 skills. All the skills usually are based, or actually all the skills are based predominantly on weapon attack. So basically, the higher the weapon attack, regardless of what weapon you have, whatever combination of items gets you the highest weapon attack will signify what damage you're going to be doing different skills. Everything is pretty much affected by it. So we'll actually go ahead and take a look at it right now. One of the key spells, like I said, I'm not going to go over every individual spell. A lot of people have their different individual setups and skill trees, but I'm going to pick out what I seem to be most effective for the class, or what seems to be really powerful. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at Haunt. Haunt is a Haunt's enemy with a spirit dealing 355% weapon damage, which is pretty huge. It's spread over 6 seconds, so it's pretty much a dot. And the cool thing about the Haunt ability is that once you haunt one target, if the target dies, the spirit will automatically haunt another nearby enemy. So before here, I do believe on the last patch, it used to be you could haunt only up to 3 targets, so it limited the haunt. So basically, it would only travel to 3. But now it's pretty much you can walk into a room, cast one haunt, especially depending on if you're just doing speed runs or if you really over level that room, or I'm sorry, over level that specific act or whatever dungeon you're running. Cast one haunt and just leave the room, and the haunt will automatically trigger and hit everything in the room and kill everything in the room. The only thing you want me to do is pick up loot, of course, but I mean, if you're just doing speed runs or just trying to get in and out of scenarios, or just basically just trying to do quick boss speed runs, I mean, this spell is amazing. And even when you're not doing speed runs, it's a really good spell. Like I said, it does 55% weapon damage, which does a ton of damage. And while that's ticking on for 6 seconds, then you're pretty much allotted to use other skills that can even do even more damage. So basically, in boss fights, you're going to cast one haunt every 6 seconds while utilizing other skills so you can maximize your DPS. Alright, another spell I'd also like is called Zombie Dogs. And what it does is it generates or summons 3 zombie dogs from the depths of the fight by your side. That's what the description says. But it summons 3 zombie dogs. Each of them does 50% of your weapon damage as physical per hit. Cooldown at 60 seconds. Dogs are really tough. Now, for basically right now for the level 13 content, I would have to say that the zombie dogs are very good. And why they're very good, where it currently stands right now, they seem they can take a lot of damage. I don't know how it will be when it gets to higher levels, but early in the game, doesn't make sense not to have these zombie dogs out. They're going to tank a lot of damage for you. They do a great amount of damage. I know they're going to also be chaining with some spells later on in the game. Not to mention, like, it gives you a chance to actually sit back and cast Haunt on certain enemies or tough enemies, or just make it so you don't have to take any direct damage. So, pretty much you will always see a witch doctor. I'm going to be pretty confident it's going to be picking up Haunt and summon zombies. Now, where things might deviate a little bit is going to be your third and fourth skill. I opt to actually get Spirit Walk. I believe that every caster has just some get out option or some way to protect themselves, because we really don't have the defense like a barbarian or abilities to prevent damage from hitting us in the first place like the monk. So since we are a caster class, we have to really fall back on our dogs for tanking, or whatever our pet's going to be. And also this need a little bit of Spirit Walk. Costs 92 mana, cooldowns 50 seconds, and you actually enter the Spirit Realm for 3 seconds. And once you move into that Spirit Realm, your speed is unhindered. I can actually, I do believe I can showcase you guys right here. And then you see his speed running rate increases really quickly. Enemies cannot really touch you. Or I do believe they can touch you. Let me take a look here. It can sustain 50% of your maximum life. Basically, whenever I enter the Spirit Realm, I never notice any enemies really targeting me down. But I'm going to say that maybe they can, and if they can't, then I would have to say pretty much what that really implies to is basically if you're taking AoE damage or something like that, you move into the Spirit Realm and you're taking some damage like that. And I do believe they're actually going to have some type of I don't know, not necessarily glyph or added on ability. It might be rumored, I'm not too for sure about this, but I heard through the grapevine that when you die, you actually will retain a certain amount of your life and just revert back to Spirit Walk, and that only works once every 30 minutes or so. Like I said, I'm not too for sure about it yet. I'm just playing based on what we have and what I've heard, but if that's going to be the case, that's definitely going to be something very good, but I doubt they would actually allow that for the hardcore ladder, which means basically it would give the Witch Doctor basically a way to cheat to death, which would be pretty much acceptable for that mode of play. So I do like Spirit Walk, gets me around quicker, gets me out of tough situations in case I'm getting whacked against the box too much. So that's basically another skill that I utilize. Zombie Charger. Now a lot of people I don't see use this skill. They actually opt to get Fire Bats, and I can actually show you the Fire Bats. A Swarm Fire Bats burns you for 134% weapon damage. Some people get that. That's 184 mana per second. The Fire Bomb costs 130 mana, does 55% weapon damage to all enemies within 8 yards. I guess the reason why I like the zombie so much, it comes out very quickly, does damage to all the enemies in his way, and it just seems to be far more spammable than the other two skills. It doesn't use as much mana as the Fire Bats, and it does spam faster than the Fire Bombs. So I think, just in general with me, I already like the Zombie Charger so much. It does a lot of good damage versus bosses, and it helps versus tough mobs. And I already have a great AoE ability, which is the Haunt spell, so I really don't feel I need to add any more with the Firebomb. But it's totally different preference. Like I said, I'm just using the certain skills that I felt most comfortable with, and I had the most success with when leveling up this character. I'm just pretty much just going to the builds I'm going for in all my classes is just basically whatever will let me level the fastest and just clear through content as quickly as possible. One last thing about level 10. You actually unlock your passive ability, which is pretty cool. It allows you to pick between these different passive abilities, and as you level up, as you see, the passive abilities change. But just for the current levels that we have, just all the way up to level 13, you know, it's the first one. It's reduce all damage taken by you and your pets by 20%. So Jungle Fortitude gives you a little bit more defense, nothing wrong with that. Vermin, this is one of the passive skills that actually affects your skills, like your Plague Toads, Corpse Spotter, Locust Swarm, and Fire Bats abilities do 20% more damage. So we were talking about Fire Bats, so your Fire Bats would do even more damage with the Vermin ability. You also have Circle Life. Whenever an enemy dies within 12 yards, there is a 5% chance the zombie will automatically emerge. The target effect increased by items that increase your gold pickup radius. So I mean, that's pretty cool. It gives your zombie dogs an additional ability. Like I said, any enemy that dies within 12 yards where there's a 5% chance the zombie dog will automatically emerge. great. I mean, anything that basically makes the skills area have a little bit better. And of course, we have Spiritual Attunement, maximum mana increased by 20%, regeneration of 2% mana per second. Mana is fuel you cast offensive and defensive skills. Last time I was playing a little bit around, messing around with the Jungle Fortitude, never really came back and messed around with the passive skills, but I'm actually going to opt to get the Spiritual Attunement. And some people might ask why. Well, sometimes when you're spamming zombies or certain skills, your mana actually goes down pretty rapidly. I've noticed that. And I've noticed to get the most maximum amount of basic attacks, since this is low level, I'm actually having to utilize a lot of items that don't actually increase my mana in general. Usually going to want to have like some kind of ceremonial dagger. But unfortunately, in the beta, I really don't have a lot of options of effective weapons that do a lot of DPS and are good for your class. And if you do happen to find one, it's very rare, and usually people sell for absorbance amounts of prices and such. So like I said, those are the basic skills, nothing too complex. One thing I do like about Diablo 3, everything is your gold is shared, your stash is shared, and I have to say that's pretty cool. And you see guys, you have a whole inventory full of stuff. These are all the materials you use for crafting. But enough, we're just going to go ahead and do a quick Skeleton King run so I can go ahead and showcase the powers of the Witch Doctor. So I'm going to go ahead and summon my dogs in town. And we're actually going to go ahead over here. I think I already talked to Deckard Cain. We're good to go. And we're going to go ahead and use the waypoint to get to Cathedral Garden, which will actually lead us to the Skeleton King. Pass through the passage here. And since we already obtained the crown, we'll be able to unlock the door and go directly for the Skeleton King himself. Wait for this bad boy to open. And you'll be able to see how quickly the Witch Doctor is able to actually get through these environments, no problem. So pretty much I'm going to be keeping my my Spirit Walk on cooldown as long as possible, just to get through these enemies. And like I said, I'm not really trying to focus down the enemies. I'm just basically just trying to get to the Skeleton King, get to the boss, kill it really quick, and be over and done with it. So I'll cast a couple haunts and I'll keep moving. I'm not really going to be staying too long, or I might even toss out a zombie. I got frozen right there, but that's okay. But, I mean, I'm just really just moving through the environment as quickly as possible, not trying to worry about too much, and just keep it moving. Because basically what's going to happen in Diablo 3 is you're going to eventually run through all the content and get to the point where you're going to be running basically in bosses to get your items. Boss runs, just like Diablo 2, you have Mephisto runs, Diablo runs, or you do battle runs basically to get level up and experiences. So pretty much maximizing your character to get through the environment as quickly as possible and take down the boss is pretty much huge, and that's something you should always be attaining for. One of the loot guys that drops loot, I always like to go after them because they usually drop really good stuff. And like I said, I'm just looking around, just trying to get through the environment as quickly as possible. I actually played the beta so much, I really pretty much know the environments pretty well. So it's kind of sad I played because there is randomness in the dungeons, but there's only about I'd have to say about 6, maybe even 7 dungeon layouts for each section of the cathedral. And as you can imagine, with making so many characters, I automatically kind of know, I recognize this map. It's like, okay, I already know that the next waypoint, this area is going to be towards the center. I don't think it'll be like that in the actual release. I'm pretty sure they'll have way more random dungeon randomness. But yeah, so when you actually playing through the beta, if you're lucky to get opted in, you'll actually notice certain patterns in dungeons, and it'll make your run-throughs a lot easier. So at this point, we're setting free the Templar. He's going to start a little quest, help him find his stuff, and then he'll join us on the King of the Skeleton fight. Just to showcase the class's ability, I'm not really going to use him. I just want to show the Witch Doctor by himself, taking on the Skeleton King mano a mano. And as you see, I'm really not even stopping. I'm just really just cruising through everything, just casting one haunt. And if you notice a haunt, it's just bouncing off everything along with the dogs. And like I said, if anybody had to say in terms of which classes I would think will be the top tier classes, or the classes you can just pick up and go, it's definitely going to be Wizard and Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor, I would have to say, has the overall strongest beginning. I've really never even struggled earlier levels with the Witch Doctor. He's always been pretty simple to I mean, he's never really slowed down. I mean, I never had any problems taking down any monsters. I had monsters to tank for me. I had spells I could spam. Wizard started off slow, but then it just sped up really quickly. But I mean, overall, in general, I'd have to say the Witch Doctor is definitely, in terms of everything, it's just, I'd have to say one of the strongest class. The only class, like I said, that can get a little bit ahead of the Witch Doctor is the Wizard. And that's just purely because once you get the Wizard to level 6 and you pick up Arcane Orb and you start doing... once you start getting the proper gear, the Wizard can, in my opinion, is in general the strongest class of Diablo. They have amazing abilities and a lot of defensive abilities, and they're able to just run through mobs so quickly. But like I said, we'll save all that Wizard explanation actually for the other videos when I'm actually playing the Wizard. And like I said, just moving through the environment. I'm already in the Cathedral level 4. I got one more level before we're going to go ahead and get started on the Skeleton King. And like I said, I'm not really focusing on exploring. I'm just trying to showcase what the Witch Doctor can really do, how fast he can run through content and burn through stuff. And I know I'm kind of a little bit over leveled in some of this content, which is okay. But like I said, I'm just kind of just doing this by myself. I could go to public games where it's 5 people, but like I said, in public games it gets kind of crazy. Sometimes you can get ahead and showcase some how your damage is doing versus you know, monsters that have players 5 set, but usually sometimes other people get in the way and whatnot. So like I said, no problem right now, just blazing through everything, no hiccups whatsoever. And like I said, see, we got pretty lucky here, and then the Cathedral or the Royal Crypts is actually right here. So this is going to be the area we're actually going to be going to deal with the Skeleton King. And for the most part, I've just been keeping it running. Because like I said, in Diablo 3, it's going to be pretty much, once you finish the content, it's going to be how much you can farm those bosses and get that gear that you want. I don't know if it's going to be well, I'll say this. The gear that you do pick up, blues, regular items, you're going to be picking all forms of gear because, of course, you're going to want to be crafting. Crafting offers a lot of great gear until you can get those special awarded gears or special drops that drop from bosses. But, in between crafting, like I said, certain specific items seem just to drop better from bosses. Like craftable items in terms of gear and armor seem to be a lot better, but specific weapons and special things for each class seem to be better if you just find them random drops. Like, I'll be honest, in the beta, you can craft wonderful axes that do a lot of damage or up your DPS per second really high. But the problem with that is that they're not really the strongest weapons per se. If I can show you my inventory, I have a 17.5 damage per second weapon, which is great. It gets the job done. But pretty much the strongest items you're going to find in Diablo 3 single-handed weapons are going to be maces, believe it or not. In this situation, it's going to be they're usually about 24 DPS per second, and that's pretty dang high. So any class that dual wields weapons, especially monk, barbarian, you're going to see a lot of the ones that are doing crazy damage are going to be using monks. You might see witch doctors, sorcerers using axes to up their damage, unless they get lucky enough, especially for the witches. There are wands out there that do like 24 to 30 DPS. I actually had one that actually had a poison modifier, which made the DPS go up to 30 DPS per second, which was phenomenal. But ever since they wiped the characters and started off with the new beta phase, I haven't been able to find one yet, so she is, I do believe, using an axe. Alright. So now we're getting to the... There he is. Skeleton King. And like I said, I'm just going to showcase how fast this guy can take down the Skeleton King. I'm going to alternate between... my dogs are going to attack him. I'm going to alternate between using Haunt every 6 seconds and actually spamming zombie charges. And you're actually going to notice how fast he's going to die, actually. So I got Haunt on him. Going to spam my zombies on him, no problem. He's going down pretty quick. I'm going to cast one more Haunt. And then this should finish up the Skeleton King, no problem. And like I said, I mean, that was pretty much easy peasy as pie. That's what I've been doing ever since I got to level 10 and I got these set of abilities. And like I said, you might be using a different setup, but I mean, this is what I find to be the most straightforward and easiest for the Witch Doctor when I was doing the playthrough. But I'm going to be pretty confident in saying that Haunt and Zombie Dogs will be utilized by everybody if you're running a Witch Doctor. And then what's really going to deviate is what your extra ability is going to be and what passive skill you're going to use. But I'm saying pretty confidently, I think a lot of them are going to take the passive ability of spiritual attunement, but you know, you might have some damaged people. They might be trying to pop out vermin, or some people really like dog play and they might get circle of life. But I'm pretty much going to be sticking with spiritual attunement because I like how it works. It regenerates my mana so I can spam more skills and get more damage out there. And pretty much when you're done with the run, you got two options. If you're pretty much good on crafting items, you can pretty much just sell whatever you need to the villagers so you can get your gold up. Well, specifically now in Diablo 3 auction house, you can only buy things with gold, so that's one way you can do it. Or if you just want to produce like a lot of crafting materials so you can craft some items, you just take the napalm cube, you right click it, and then you just directly just click onto your items, and it automatically makes them go into one of 4 objects. I can actually show you. You're actually going to have common scrap, suitable essence. You're also going to get fallen tooth, and you're also going to get, in rare occasions, petrified bark. And the way this works is actually all items pretty much can produce one of these set of items, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have higher tier of craftables. But the big thing is every item has a percentage to drop petrified bark, fallen tooth, subtle essence, or common scrap. Of course, the higher quality item, like say a yellow item, of course, a yellow item will definitely generate a fallen tooth, and I'm sure a rare item will always generate a legendary weapon or whatever will generate a petrified bark. But if you even use this magic weapon, it has a small chance to become a petrified bark or fallen tooth, just so you know how crafting pretty much works. And if you actually take a look over here to this, let me see here, repair all my eyes, to this blacksmith, you actually can see we'll go ahead and put can equip. We're not going to go ahead, because actually you can craft higher level items that you can equip, but I really don't see a point in that, so we'll just can equip of what items I can equip for my level. And you actually can craft some pretty nice gear. Like I said, a lot of the gear adds attack and vitality and attributes to your armor, so I'm pretty much regarding towards armor, you're pretty much going to craft everything. That's pretty much the best what you can get. And then as towards your actual weapons per se, and your rings and weapon are going to pretty much be drop from bosses. That's pretty much the best thing you can have, or purchase off of auction house. You can also craft nice weapons if you really need to. As rings, you usually want to get whatever your maximum damage is, anything that adds damage, so you can up your DPS, so your spells or abilities can hit harder. And then of course you can get amulets, but I haven't seen that many. They're pretty ridiculous on auction house. You might see one guy sell an amulet that gives like +1 vitality for 30k gold. Don't waste money on that. That would just be a little silly. So I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a quick showcase of the Witch Doctor skills. Like I said, I use my own skill preference based on what I think is good and what actually makes me burn through the content really quick. And like I said, I have all these characters maxed up to level 13 and with good items, just so I can show them at a pretty decent potential, or the highest potential you can have them at the beta. So make sure you guys check out my other character cast videos. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out my videos in the first place. Hope you guys enjoying the Diablo 3 beta like me. My name is Debo, and I'm out.